We're back at the Bicycle Casino, one of my favorite spots to play in LA, and we brought two of my best friends, Truman and Marcelo. We sit down at the 2-3 game in for $300, and we just catch the tail end of us doubling up against an opponent when we hit the ace-high flush on the river. We then table change to play with our buddy Marcelo and have to go back down to $300, which is the table max, so we take that additional $300 off our stack and we get into our first hand. First hand of note, we look down at King-Queen offsuit from the big blind. Under the gun is our buddy Marcelo, and he raises up to $15 and it folds back around to me. Normally I'd be 3-betting here, but against my buddy Marcelo, I just put in a call. We have a deal here just to check things down. We got into a huge hand at Agua Caliente a year ago where I didn't believe him when he told me to fold, and I called him and paid him off like $500 or $600. So since then, we just check it down nice friendly when we're playing at the table. Heads up to the flop, which comes 7, 5, 6. The action goes check, check as usual. Turns a queen, which is unfortunate. We can't bet and get some value here because we're probably good. Action goes check, check again. River comes a 3 of spades. We show our king, queen, and against any other opponent, we would have got some value because he has queen, jack here. Would have had top pair. We're going to take down that $32 pot in what feels like a loss even though we won the hand. Next hand, we look down at 5-6 offsuit from the small blind, and it gets limped around to us. We're getting a good price here, so we throw in the additional $2 and the big blind check, so we're going off to a flop multi-way. Flop comes gin for us. It comes deuce 4-3, bang. We flop the 6-high straight, the nutter butters. I check for deception here, and now the under the gun bets $16 and the button puts in the call. Action's back on us here, and I raise it up to $40. Just looking to get value from some 2-pair, some straight draws, some sets. There's a lot of stuff out there I can get value from, so I make it $40, and the under the gun puts in the call. The button gets out of the way, so we're going heads up to the turn. Turn doesn't change too much. It comes the 7 of spades. The opponent now shoves out of turn, which is strange. I didn't check my action over to him. I would never be doing that the way I played this hand so far. When he shows out a turn, I just snap call and leave the decision up to the dealer if it counts or not. It does, so $275 is the all-in that stands. We're going off to the river with $670 in the pot. The river pairs the 7, it's a 7 of hearts, and the opponent confidently shows 7-4. So he gets there on the river. He thought he was good on the turn with the 2-pair. Very interesting play from him, under the gun, limping for 3, and then calling our raise on the flop with a pair of 4s. But he's going to get rewarded with the 7 of hearts on the river, and our 7-high straight goes down in flames. Next hand of note, we look down at King-Queen offsuit from the hijack. There's one limp to me. I raise it up to $15, which is pretty standard, and the big blind and the limp are put in the call, so going 3 ways to the flop. Flop with $47 in the pot comes jack high. It's jack, deuce, 9. We have a gutter to the straight and 2 overcards, and the action actually checks around here. Turn now brings the queen of hearts, which gives us top pair with a king kicker. Additionally, we still have the gutter to the straight. When the action checks to me, I decide to bet around 2/3 pot size bet here for $35, and the big blind puts in the call. The middle position player now shoves all in for $435, and the action's on us here. I find his all in very strange. It's obviously polarizing here. We have a blocker to the king 10 straight here, and I don't really know what he's representing. I guess he could have some sets and he's just trying to protect versus some flush draw and straight draws. This is definitely a strange play, and I don't really like the situation that I'm in. It's effectively like $250 more to me here, and just with top pair and no heart blocker, I put in the fold here for around $250 more, and the big blind folds as well. And luckily for us, for the vlog, the middle position player shows jack deuce, so he calls $15 pre with jack deuce, ends up spiking 2-pair when we turn the queen, but he's going to take down that pot. I think he could have got some more value there with raising small. I might have had to pay him off on one more bet. Oh well, we make a good fold and we're off to the next hand. $265 now in our stack. We look down at Snowman from the button. There's 2 limps to me, and I raise it up to $15, and the under the gun and 2 limpers put in the call, so we're going 4 ways to the flop. With $65 in the pot, the flop comes 10, 9, 7. We flop an open-ended straight draw. The action checks to me here, and with a possible straight out there, even though we block it, there's a lot of draws, and we have 3rd pair. So when the action checks to me, I decide to check behind, and we're off to a turn. The turn is now the 3 of hearts, which brings in a heart flush draw as well. It doesn't change too much on the flop, though, with any of the straight draws. So when the action checks to me for a second time here, I bet $25. The under the gun puts in the call, but the other two opponents find a fold here, so going heads up to the river. The river pairs the 10, it's the 10 of clubs, and the under the gun position player checks to me for a third time now. I think there's some merit to be going for thin value here against some straight draws, but then if we get blown off our hand with a check raise, I think that puts us in a pretty tough spot. So with two pair 10s and 8s, I decide to check back and get to showdown. We show our pocket 8s first. The under the gun position player mucks, and so we're going to take down that $115 pot. $365 now in a stack. We have $1 for every day of the year, and we look down at 6-8 of clubs from the hijack. There's two limps to me, and I raise it up to $15. In the small blind, the under the gun and the middle position player all put in the call, so we're going four ways to the flop. Flop with $63 in it comes Jack 10-3, all clubs. Bang! We flopped the jack high flush. The action checks to me as I'm the pre-flop raiser, and I bet $21, around a third of the pot here, and the small blind and the under the gun think their hand is good enough for a call. We're loving life. We're going three ways to the turn. Turn is an absolutely great card. It comes to 4 of diamonds, doesn't bring anything in that should have us beat here, and the action checks over to me again here. I cover both the opponents, so I just shove all in for $110 into the around $130 pot, and the small blind pretty quickly calls, and the middle position gets out of the way. We're feeling pretty good about our hand here, and the river comes the 3 of hearts. We show our 8-6 of clubs. The opponent in the small blind just mucks her cards, which is great news for us, and we're going to take down this $346 pot with our flush. Next hand of note, we look down at 10-8 of diamonds from the hijack. There's one limp to me, and I raise it up to $12, and the small blind finds a call. The big blind now does something strange and shoves all in for $39, and the limper folds. I put in the call, and the small blind does as well, so going three ways to the flop with one person all in. Flop comes King 10 deuce with 2 diamonds, so we have a pair and a front door diamond draw. Small blind checks to me, and I find a bet here for $30, and the small blind puts in the call, so we're still heads up to the turn. Turn doesn't change too much. It comes the 4 of hearts, and the small blind checks it over to us again here. I bet the exact same amount now. I fire for $30. Small blind doesn't fold and he doesn't raise. He puts in the additional $30 and we're still heads up to the river. The river is a pretty great card for us. It gives us trip 10s. It's the 10 of hearts. The opponent checks again to us for a third time here, and the opponent only has around $55 left in the stack. A pretty no-brainer shove is coming from me here. I effectively put them all in and they snap fold. We show our 10-8 of diamonds, and the big blind shows ace-king, so we got lucky there on the river, although we would have won the side pot regardless. We didn't come all the way to Bell Gardens for half the pot. We're going to scoop $231, taking down both pots, and we're off to the next hand. For the second time of the night, we get Snowman from the small blind. The cutoff raises it up to $12, and I'm in a 3-bet or fold situation here, so I make it $41, and the small blind finds a call. So going heads up to the flop here with $85 in the pot. Flop's a decent one for our range. It comes ace, ace, jack with 2 clubs. I think I make a mistake here and check. I should be firing because this board hits our range a lot harder than it does the cutoff. But when I check it over to him, he doesn't seize the opportunity and bet. He finds a check, so going heads up to the turn. Turn now comes the 7 of diamonds, so I go for the delayed C bet here and bet $25 into $85. The cutoff's not done with his hand just yet. He puts in $25 as well, and we're off to the river. The river brings in the front door club draw. It comes the 5 of clubs, and I think I make another mistake here as well. I should be firing big here, representing all the aces in my range that decided to go for a check on the flop. Instead, I check, but I think the cutoff makes an even worse play and checks behind. I say that he made a worse play because I show my pocket 8s and he just mucks, so I think he needs to be going for a bet there on the river. My line was super passive and pretty weak in my opinion. I think he needs to go for a bet there and just take the pot away from us. Regardless though, we're pretty happy to take that $135 to the bank. Last hand of the night is an interesting one here. We look down at ace-jack offsuit from the low jack. Folds to me and I raise it up to $12 and the cutoff puts in the call. Small blind now raises to $40. And if we look at this chart here, ace-jack offsuit versus a small blind 3-bet is half the time a fold, but it's also a quarter of the time a 4-bet and the other quarter of the time a call. In this situation here against another opponent that I assume is going to be putting in the call as well, I find a call and the cutoff does as well, so going 3 ways to the flop here. Flop's an interesting one. It comes king 10-7 with 2 clubs. We do have the ace of clubs in our hand and we have the gutter to Broadway. Small blind checks to us here, and I'm not really going to be taking a stab here with our ace high. I check it over to the cutoff, who decides they want to see another free card as well. Turn doesn't change too much. It comes the 6 of hearts. Small blind now goes for the delayed c-bet to $30, and I think we're in an interesting position here. We could call and go in position if the cutoff folds to a river, or we could put in a raise here to around $90 and put pressure on the small blind who decided to check the flop. The way the small blind played the hand is pretty weak. He probably was scared of two other opponents being in the hand on a king-high board. It's possible he has pocket queens or pocket jacks, although we do block pocket jacks. I think if he had any combination of kings or pocket tens on the flop, he would be wanting to bet there, given the fact that there are some straight and flush draw possibilities. For that reason, I put pressure on the small blind here and raise it up to $93. Cutoff doesn't look too enthused about it and finds a fold, and it's back on the small blind. Small blind gives up the gig, he puts in the fold as well, and so we get that one through with ace high. I really like our play there on the turn. Let me know down in the comments what you guys would have done in that spot and if you approve of that semi-bluff. We ended the session on a good note. We rack up our chips and head to the cage. Yo, what's up you guys? We're here with Marcelo and Truman. A little boys trip to the bicycle here. We got into the game for 300. We ran it up to like 600. Then we got into a weird hand. We lost. But ultimately, we were on the profit side of things. We booked a $464 profit here. Not sure exactly how they did, but always a good time. Make sure you guys like this video. If you're new, subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and I'll check you guys in the next video. Peace! Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.